The Deception, 1,200 words. The skies above New York City blazed with an otherworldly light as the alien ship descended through the atmosphere. Its sleek, silver hull reflected the setting sun, casting an ethereal glow over the awestruck crowds below. News helicopters circled at a safe distance, their cameras trained on what would surely be the most significant event in human history. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, chief cynobiologist for the United Nations, stood on the makeshift landing pad hastily constructed in Central Park. Her heart raced as she watched the ship's graceful approach. Years of theories, simulations, and preparations were about to be put to the test. Beside her, General Marcus Thompson of the U.S. Space Force maintained a stoic expression, but Elena could see the tension in his jaw. "This is it," she murmured, more to herself than to the general. Thompson nodded curtly. "Let's hope our guests are as friendly as they claim to be." The ship touched down with barely a whisper, its advanced technology apparent in its silent landing. A moment passed, then another. The assembled dignitaries and military personnel held their collective breath. Finally, with a soft hiss, a portal materialized in the ship's smooth hull. 3 figures emerged, each over 7 feet tall with iridescent blue skin and large almond-shaped eyes. They wore flowing robes adorned with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change as they moved. The leader, distinguished by a glowing emblem on its chest, stepped forward. "Greetings, people of Earth," it said, its voice resonating with a melodic quality that sent shivers down Elena's spine. "I am Ambassador Zorn of the Galactic Empire. We come in peace and friendship." Elena stepped forward, bowing slightly. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador Zorn. I am Dr. Elena Rodriguez, representing the United Nations." As pleasantries were exchanged and the aliens were escorted to a nearby conference center, few noticed the subtle glances exchanged between General Thompson and several key military personnel. Thousands of miles away, deep beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean, alarms blared in a top-secret facility known only to a select few. Commander Ava Patel sprinted down a corridor, her footsteps echoing off the reinforced walls. She burst into the control room, immediately commanding the attention of the assembled technicians and officers. "Status report," she barked. A young lieutenant swiveled in his chair, his face pale. "Commander, the aliens have landed. Protocol Omega is in effect." Ava's expression hardened. They had hoped this day would never come, but they had prepared for it nonetheless. "Begin Phase 1 of Operation Hydra. And get me a secure line to the President." As the facility hummed with increased activity, Ava couldn't help but think of the oblivious masses above. They had no idea that humanity's fate now balanced on a knife's edge. Back in New York, the alien delegation was led into a lavishly decorated ballroom. World leaders from every nation mingled with the visitors, their faces a mix of excitement and apprehension. Champagne flowed freely, and exotic delicacies from around the globe were served on gleaming silver platters. President Lydia Chen of the United States approached Ambassador Zorn, a practiced smile on her face. "I hope you find our hospitality to your liking, Ambassador." Zorn inclined his head graciously. "Indeed, Madam President, your world's diversity is truly remarkable. We look forward to a long and prosperous relationship between our civilizations." As Chen engaged Zorn in small talk, her eyes briefly met those of the British Prime Minister across the room. An imperceptible nod passed between them. In the kitchen, away from prying eyes, Chef Maria Gonzalez received a coded message on her secure communicator. With practiced ease, she added a specially prepared compound to the aliens' meals, a carefully formulated mixture designed to subtly influence their thought patterns and make them more amenable to suggestion. Hours passed, and as the evening wore on, the aliens became increasingly talkative, sharing tantalizing snippets of information about their vast empire and advanced technology. Human intelligence officers, disguised as waitstaff and socialites, carefully catalogued every word. As the party began to wind down, Ambassador Zorn requested a private audience with key world leaders. They gathered in a secure conference room, The atmosphere suddenly tensed despite the evening's apparent success. Zorn's demeanor shifted, the warmth in his large eyes replaced by a cold calculation. "Esteemed leaders of Earth," he began, his melodic voice now tinged with steel, "we have greatly enjoyed our time here. However, we must now discuss the true purpose of our visit." A holographic display flickered to life in the center of the table, showing Earth surrounded by an armada of alien ships. "This is but a fraction of the Imperial fleet," Zorn continued. "We have come to offer you a choice. Join the Galactic Empire willingly, surrendering your autonomy and resources, or face total annihilation." The room erupted in a cacophony of shocked exclamations and angry protests. President Chen raised a hand, silencing the outcry. "Ambassador," she said, her voice steady, "surely there must be another way. We've shown nothing but hospitality." Zorn cut her off with a wave of his hand. "Your quaint customs mean nothing to us. You have 24 hours to comply. Choose wisely." With that, he and his delegation swept from the room, leaving the human leaders in stunned silence. As soon as the aliens were out of earshot, Chen's posture changed. Gone was the accommodating host, replaced by a steel-eyed leader. "Get me the Mariana base." Now, thousands of miles below the ocean's surface, Commander Ava Paddle received the encrypted transmission. The president's face appeared on the screen, grim and determined. "Commander, initiate Exodus Protocol. It's time to show these bastards what humanity is really capable of." Ava allowed herself a small, fierce smile. "Understood, Madam President. Lazarus is ready." As the alien ship took off from Central Park, its occupants confident in their impending victory, they remained oblivious to the flurry of activity taking place beneath the Earth's oceans. In secret bases around the world, pilots rushed to their stations, and engineers performed final checks on technology that would make the aliens' most advanced systems look primitive by comparison. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, her role as welcoming scientist now shed, strode purposefully through a hidden facility beneath the New York Natural History Museum. Banks of quantum computers hummed as they processed vast amounts of data gleaned from the alien visitors. "What's our timeline?" she asked her team of scientists and analysts. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, head of xenotechnology, looked up from his holographic display. "We've cracked about 40% of their encryption. Given another 12 hours, we should have full access to their fleet's command protocols." Elena nodded, a grim satisfaction in her eyes. "Excellent. The Empire thought they were evaluating us, but we've been analyzing them since the moment they entered our solar system. Humanity doesn't bow to tyrants. Not now, not ever." As night fell over a planet that seemed destined for subjugation, few could have imagined the storm that was brewing. In less than 24 hours, the Galactic Empire would learn a harsh lesson. Never underestimate the human spirit, especially when backed into a corner. For now, the greatest deception in human history continued to unfold, with the fate of Earth hanging in the balance. The ruse, 1,200 words. The sun rose over a world holding its breath. News of the alien ultimatum had spread like wildfire, causing a mix of panic and defiance across the globe. Military bases buzzed with activity, civilian shelters filled to capacity, and the streets of major cities stood eerily empty. High above the Earth, the Imperial fleet loomed, a silent threat against the blue sky. On the bridge of the flagship, Ambassador Zorn watched the planet with cold satisfaction. Such a primitive species, he mused to his second-in-command. They'll have no choice but to surrender. Little did he know that deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a cavern large enough to house a small city, humanity's response was taking shape. Captain Sophia Chen stood before a massive hangar door, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and trepidation. At 28, she was the youngest pilot ever selected for this mission. Behind her, a team of technicians made final adjustments to her flight suit, a marvel of human engineering that looked more like a second skin than traditional gear. "Captain Chen," a voice called. She turned to see Commander Ava Patil approaching, her face a mask of determination. "Are you ready to make history?" Sophia nodded, her voice steady. "Born ready, Commander." Ava led Sophia through a series of airlocks, each one taking them deeper into the heart of the secret base. They emerged onto a platform overlooking the sight that took Sophia's breath away. A colossal hangar bay, stretching farther than the eye could see, filled with ships unlike anything the world above had ever witnessed. "Welcome," Ava said, a hint of pride in her voice, "to humanity's ace in the hole." Meanwhile, on the surface, Earth's leaders orchestrated a masterful performance of compliance and fear. President Chen addressed the world, her face etched with carefully crafted worry. "My fellow citizens," she began, her voice trembling just enough to be convincing, "in light of the overwhelming force arrayed against us, we have no choice but to accede to the Empire's demands. I urge everyone to remain calm and cooperate with our new allies." Across the globe, similar messages were broadcast. To the watching aliens, it seemed that Earth was falling in line, just as countless worlds before it had done. But there were anomalies. Strange energy signatures flickered at the edge of Imperial sensors, only to disappear moments later. Unusual seismic activity was detected in various oceanic hotspots. The aliens dismissed these as quirks of a geologically active planet, unaware of the true nature of these disturbances. In orbit, Junior Science Officer Krell noticed something odd. "Ambassador," he called, "I'm detecting unusual radiation patterns from the planet's oceans." Zorn waved a dismissive hand. "Probably some primitive attempt at defense. Nothing that can threaten us." Krell wasn't so sure, but he knew better than to question his superior. Back in the underwater base, Sophia was being briefed on her mission. She stood before a holographic display of a sleek, arrow-shaped fighter unlike anything she'd ever seen. "This," said Dr. Elena Rodriguez, materializing next to her, "is the XF-7 Phantom. It's the product of decades of reverse-engineered alien tech and human innovation. Quantum shielding, dark matter propulsion, and a neural interface that'll make it feel like an extension of your own body." Sophia's eyes widened. "It's beautiful," she breathed. Elena smiled. "It gets better. The Phantom can phase shift, becoming temporarily intangible. You'll be able to pass right through enemy ships." As Sophia absorbed this information, alarms began to blare throughout the base. Commander Patel's voice came over the intercom. "All personnel, battle stations. Operation Lazarus is now in effect. This is not a drill." The next few hours were a blur of activity. Sophia and her squadron ran countless simulations, pushing their new crafts to the limit in virtual engagements against Imperial forces. Meanwhile, engineers and technicians swarmed over the true centerpiece of humanity's response, a vessel so large it defied belief. On the surface, Earth continued its charade of submission. Imperial landing parties began to make planetfall, setting up preliminary occupation zones. They were met with minimal resistance. A few scattered protests quickly dispersed. Ambassador Zorn watched with smug satisfaction as his forces began to secure key locations around the globe. "You see," he said to his officers, "they're not so different from any other conquest. A show of force, and they'd fall in line." One of his subordinates shifted uncomfortably. "Sir, don't you think this is too easy?" Zorn's eyes narrowed. "Are you questioning the might of the Empire?" The officer quickly backpedaled. "No, sir. Of course not." As night fell, the ruse entered its final stage. President Chen, along with other world leaders, were escorted to the Imperial flagship for a formal surrender ceremony. As they boarded the alien craft, each leader carried a hidden quantum transponder, feeding vital intelligence back to Earth's hidden command centers. Beneath the waves, Sophia Chen sat in the cockpit of her Phantom, running through pre-flight checks. Her heart raced, but her hands were steady. Years of training had prepared her for this moment. "All wings, report in," she called over the comm. One by one, her squadron sounded off. 12 of Earth's finest pilots, each ready to take on an empire. Commander Patel's voice crackled over the comm. "Captain Chen, you have go for launch. May your aim be true and your wings swift. The hopes of humanity fly with you." Sophia took a deep breath. "Understood, Commander. Phantom lead. Launching." With a thought, she engaged her fighter systems. The hangar bay doors began to open, revealing the crushing darkness of the deep ocean. But Sophia felt no fear. She knew that this darkness concealed humanity's greatest achievement and the Empire's worst nightmare. "All right, Phantoms," she called to her squadron. "Let's introduce ourselves to our new galactic neighbors." With a burst of energy that vaporized the surrounding water instantly, the Phantom squadron shot out of the underwater base. They climbed rapidly, their advanced propulsion systems leaving no trace of their passage. As they neared the surface, Sophia gave the order, "Engage phase shift. Now." In perfect unison, the 12 fighters shimmered and became ghostly, translucent shapes. They burst from the ocean, passing through the water's surface as if it wasn't there. On the Imperial flagship, alarms began to blare. "Unknown contacts." An officer shouted. They came out of nowhere. Ambassador Zorn rushed to the view screen, his composure shattered. "Impossible," he breathed. But the impossible was just beginning. As Sophia's squadron engaged the unsuspecting Imperial fighters, the ocean behind them began to churn violently. "This is Captain Sophia Chen to Lazarus Control," Sophia called as she effortlessly outmaneuvered an Imperial fighter. "The skies are clear. You are go for emergence." Deep below, in the heart of the underwater base, Commander Patel allowed herself a fierce grin. "Understood, Captain," she replied. Then, turning to her crew, she gave the order they had waited decades to hear. "Bring Lazarus online. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of." As the waters of the Pacific began to part, the true scale of humanity's deception was about to be revealed. The Galactic Empire was about to learn a harsh lesson. Appearances can be deceiving, especially when dealing with a species as innovative and determined as humanity. The ruse was over. Now, the real battle would begin. The unveiling, 1,200 words. The Pacific Ocean roiled and churned, its surface breaking apart in a spectacle visible from space. Imperial sensors screamed with alarms as energy readings spiked off the charts. Ambassador Zorn stood frozen on the bridge of his flagship, his usual composure shattered by the incomprehensible scene unfolding before him. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded, his melodic voice cracking with panic. No one had an answer. They could only watch in stunned silence as the impossible became reality. From the depths of the ocean rose a behemoth that dwarfed even the largest Imperial warships. Itoll, a seamless blend of midnight black and iridescent blue, seemed to absorb and reflect light in ways that defied physics. As it breached the surface, waterfalls cascaded from its immense frame, creating a misty halo around the rising colossus. Emblazoned on its side in glowing letters was a name that would soon be etched into the annals of galactic history: Lazarus. In the skies above, Captain Sophia Chen allowed herself a moment of awe as she watched humanity's greatest achievement reveal itself. "Would you look at that?" she breathed, momentarily forgetting the battle raging around her. A warning ping from her neural interface snapped her back to reality. With lightning-fast reflexes, she phase-shifted her Phantom fighter, allowing an Imperial energy blast to pass harmlessly through her craft. Eyes on the prize, Phantoms, she called to her squadron. "Let's give Lazarus the welcome party it deserves." The squadron acknowledged, their voices a mix of determination and barely contained excitement. They redoubled their efforts, their advanced fighters dancing through the Imperial formations with impossible agility. Aboard Lazarus, Commander Avapatl stood at the center of a holographic command center that would have put most planetary defense systems to shame. Data streams flowed around her, providing real-time updates on every aspect of the unfolding battle. "Structural integrity at 100%, reported Chief Engineer Ravi Kapoor. All systems nominal. We are combat ready, Commander. Ava nodded, her eyes gleaming with fierce pride. Excellent. Weapons control. Target the Imperial flagship. Let's show them what we're made of. Deep within Lazarus, banks of advanced weaponry hummed to life. Panels slid open along the massive ship's hull, revealing an arsenal that combined the best of reverse-engineered alien technology with humanity's own innovative designs. In orbit, Ambassador Zorn finally shook off his paralysis. "All ships, open fire," he shrieked. "Destroy that abomination." The Imperial fleet responded, unleashing a barrage of energy weapons that lit up the sky. For a moment, it seemed as if Lazarus would be overwhelmed before it could even fight back. But as the alien energy blasts approached, they encountered a defensive screen unlike anything the Empire had ever seen. The attacks didn't so much bounce off as they were absorbed, their energy dissipating harmlessly across Lazarus's hull. "Impossible," Zorn whispered, his earlier bravado evaporating. That's when Lazarus returned fire. Beams of coherent light, so bright they appeared solid, lanced out from the Earth ship. They cut through Imperial shields as if they weren't there, slicing smaller ships in half and leaving gaping wounds in the larger vessels. In the midst of this chaos, Sophia's Phantom Squadron continued to wreak havoc. Their phase-shifting abilities allowed them to literally fly through enemy ships, materializing just long enough to unleash devastating attacks on critical systems before ghosting away again. "Phantom 3, on your 6, Sophia called out, noticing an Imperial fighter closing in on one of her pilots. "I see him, lead," came the calm reply. Phantom 3 suddenly inverted, phasing through the attacker. As he rematerialized, he fired a burst of quantum-locked particles that shredded the Imperial fighter's engines. Back on the planet's surface, the human leaders who had been captured for the surrender ceremony sprang into action. President Chen pulled a compact device from a hidden compartment in her suit. "Madam President, what are you doing?" the British Prime Minister asked, feigning ignorance for the benefit of their alien guards. Chen smiled grimly. "Ensuring our independence, Prime Minister." She activated the device, and suddenly the Imperial guards collapsed, their neural systems overloaded by a targeted electromagnetic pulse. "Now," Chen commanded, "let's take this ship." As the human leaders fought their way to the bridge of the transport ship, the battle above reached a fever pitch. Imperial reinforcements poured in from neighboring systems, drawn by automated distress calls. Aboard Lazarus, Ava received the update with grim determination. "Looks like the party's getting bigger," she muttered. Then, raising her voice, she issued a new command. "Initiate the Kraken Protocol." Throughout Lazarus, new systems whirred to life. The massive ship's hull began to shift and change, sections separating and reconfiguring. To the astonishment of friend and foe alike, Lazarus transformed before their eyes. What was once a single massive vessel became a swarm of smaller, but still formidable ships. Each one was equipped with the same advanced technology as the original, capable of operating independently or as part of the greater whole. "All Kraken units, engage at will," Ava ordered. "Show them what happens when you back humanity into a corner." The newly formed Kraken fleet surged forward, engulfing the Imperial forces in a multi-pronged assault that defied conventional tactics. Some units phased through enemy defenses, rematerializing inside their shields to deliver devastating blows. Others combined their firepower, creating energy lances that pierced even the toughest Imperial armor. In her Phantom, Sophia watched the unfolding spectacle with a mix of awe and determination. "All right, Phantoms," she called to her squadron. "Lazarus has softened them up. Let's finish this." The Phantom Squadron formed up, their fighters moving in perfect synchronization. They charged towards the Imperial flagship, phase-shifting in and out of reality to avoid the panicked defensive fire. Ambassador Zorn, his composure completely shattered, frantically issued orders that fell on increasingly deaf ears. His crew, witnessing the unprecedented power of the human forces, began to waver. Just as Sophia's squadron reached the flagship, a new communication cut across all frequencies. It was President Chen speaking from the captured transport ship. "This is the President of the United States, speaking on behalf of Earth. To the Galactic Empire, your ultimatum is rejected. Your forces are outmatched. Withdraw now, or face the full consequences of your aggression." There was a moment of stunned silence across the battlefield. Then, to the shock of the Imperial forces, several of their own ships suddenly turned, training their weapons on their former comrades. "This is Captain Vex of the Imperial cruiser Dauntless," a new voice announced. "We defect to the humans. Their power and mercy are beyond anything our empire has shown. We choose freedom." As more Imperial ships began to switch sides, the tide of the battle shifted decisively. Ambassador Zorn, seeing his grand invasion crumble before his eyes, made a last desperate decision. "All loyal ships, retreat," he commanded. "Return to Imperial space immediately." As the remnants of the once mighty invasion force fled in disarray, cheers erupted across the human fleet. Aboard Lazarus, now reassembled into its original form, Commander Eva Patel allowed herself a small smile. "Well done, everyone," she said to her crew. "But stay alert. This is just the beginning." In her Phantom, Sophia Chen looked out at the Earth, now surrounded by a mix of human marvels and defecting alien ships. She knew that the galaxy would never be the same. The unveiling was complete. Humanity had revealed not just its hidden strength, but its capacity for innovation, unity, and even mercy in the face of aggression. As the first reports of their victory began to spread across the stars, Sophia couldn't help but wonder, what would the rest of the galaxy make of humanity now? The Rebellion, 1,200 words. The news of Earth's astonishing victory spread across the galaxy at faster-than-light speeds, carried by quantum entanglement communicators and smuggled data crystals. On countless worlds under Imperial rule, the whispers began. If Earth could stand against the Empire, why couldn't they? Aboard Lazarus, now in high Earth orbit, Captain Sophia Chen stood before a holographic display of the galaxy, marveling at the vastness of space and the task that lay ahead. Commander Eva Patel entered the room, her face a mixture of triumph and concern. "Impressive view, isn't it?" Eva said, joining Sophia at the display. Sophia nodded. "Hard to believe we're about to dive into all that." "That's why I'm here," Eva replied. "We've received new intelligence from our defectors. An Imperial admiral named Supercarrier has expressed interest in switching sides. He commands a significant fleet in the Orion Arm. Your mission is to make contact and, if possible, secure his allegiance." Sophia's eyes widened. "Me? But surely there are more experienced diplomats." Ava cut her off with a raised hand. "You've proven yourself in battle, Sophia. Now it's time to prove yourself as a leader." Besides, she added with a smirk, Supercarrier specifically requested to meet the ghost pilot who led the charge against the invasion fleet. As Sophia prepared for her mission, activity across Earth reached a fever pitch. The planet was transforming into a bustling hub of interstellar diplomacy and technological exchange. In Geneva, the newly formed Terran Alliance headquarters buzzed with representatives from former Imperial worlds, seeking protection and partnership. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, now heading the Xenotechnology Integration Division, worked tirelessly to combine Earth's innovations with the advanced tech brought by defecting Imperial ships. In a vast laboratory complex, she stood before a prototype faster-than-light drive that promised to revolutionize space travel. "If we can stabilize the quantum flux," she muttered to herself, "we could potentially reach any point in the galaxy almost instantaneously." Meanwhile, in the depths of space, Sophia's mission was underway. She led a small task force consisting of 3 Phantom fighters and a diplomatic vessel through the swirling colors of hyperspace. As they approached the rendezvous point, Sophia couldn't shake a feeling of unease. "Phantom 2, Phantom 3, stay alert," she commanded. "Something doesn't feel right." As if on cue, They dropped out of hyperspace into chaos. A massive space battle was unfolding before them. Imperial loyalist forces were engaged with what appeared to be a rebel fleet, led by Admiral Zixkara's distinctive flagship. "Looks like the Admiral started the party without us," Sophia quipped. "Phantoms, engage and protect the diplomatic vessel. Let's show them what Earth can do." The three Phantom fighters plunged into the fray, their phase-shifting technology allowing them to dance through the battlefield with impossible grace. Sophia's cockpit came alive with warnings and tactical data, but to her, time seemed to slow. With preternatural reflexes, she wove through energy beams and debris, her quantum weapons striking with pinpoint accuracy. On a desert world at the edge of Imperial space, a group of resistance fighters huddled around a makeshift hologram projector. They watched in awe as footage of Earth's victory, followed by reports of the ongoing battle led by Admiral Zixkara, played out before them. "You see," their leader, a scared veteran named Kira, exclaimed, "the Empire isn't invincible. If Earth can stand against them, so can we." A cheer went up from the group, years of oppression giving way to a surge of hope. Similar scenes played out across countless worlds, sparking a wave of rebellion that spread like wildfire through the Imperial domains. Back in the space battle, Sophia's team had turned the tide. Their unexpected arrival and advanced technology had thrown the Loyalist forces into disarray. As the last enemy capital ship fell to a coordinated strike from the rebels and Earth forces, Sophia received a transmission from Admiral Zixkara's flagship. "This is Admiral Zixkara to Earth forces." A deep, resonant voice boomed. "Your arrival is most fortuitous. I formally request asylum and offer my fleet in service to your cause." Sophia allowed herself a small smile. "Admiral, this is Captain Sophia Chen of Earth. We accept your offer. Prepare for docking. We have much to discuss." As the combined fleet regrouped, Sophia couldn't help but feel a sense of vertigo at how quickly events were unfolding. Just weeks ago, she had been a promising pilot on a hidden Earth. Now she was at the forefront of a galactic rebellion. On Earth, President Chen addressed the United Nations, now expanded to include representatives from allied alien worlds. The General Assembly Hall was a riot of colors and exotic forms, a visual testament to the new era of interstellar cooperation. Today, Chen began, her voice carrying the weight of history. "We stand not just as citizens of Earth, but as members of a galactic community. Our victory against Imperial aggression was not an end, but a beginning. Across the stars, oppressed peoples are rising up, inspired by our stand. It is our duty, our privilege, to aid them in their fight for freedom." The assembly erupted in applause, the sound of dozens of alien species joining human voices in a cacophony of support. In the following days, Earth became the center of a whirlwind of diplomatic and military activity. The Terran Alliance, hastily formed in the wake of the invasion, now grew into a true interstellar power. Ships of all shapes and sizes filled the skies, bringing dignitaries, refugees, and defectors from across the galaxy. At a secret facility in the Himalayas, General Thompson oversaw the training of a truly diverse group of pilots. Humans worked alongside aliens, learning to operate the advanced Phantom fighters and other Earth-designed craft. The sight of so many species working together, united against tyranny, filled the grizzled general with an emotion he hadn't felt in years: hope. As the rebellion spread, the Empire found itself fighting on multiple fronts. Worlds that had been under their boot for centuries now rose up, emboldened by Earth's example and aided by Terran technology. Imperial supply lines were disrupted by daring raids led by phase-shifting fighters, while key strategic locations fell to combined rebel assaults. In the galactic core, the Imperial Palace was a hive of frantic activity. The Emperor, a being who had not deigned to concern himself with the affairs of lesser worlds for millennia, now found himself forced to take direct action. In a vast, opulent chamber, he conferred with his most trusted advisors. "How," he snarled, his voice carrying the weight of eons, "has a single backward world managed to bring us to this point?" None dared answer directly, But a junior analyst stepped forward, trembling. "Your Imperial Majesty, our latest intelligence suggests that the humans possess technology far beyond our understanding. They call it the Lazarus Protocol, the ability to resurrect and improve upon any technology they encounter. We don't know how to counter it." The Emperor's eyes narrowed, a dangerous gleam entering them. "Then we shall have to take more direct measures. Prepare my personal fleet. It's time I reminded the galaxy why I have ruled for 10,000 years." As the Emperor set his sights on Earth, Sophia Chen and her growing rebel armada prepared for their most daring mission yet, a strike at the very heart of the Empire. The galaxy held its breath, knowing that the next battle could determine the fate of countless civilizations. The rebellion had begun in earnest, and there would be no turning back. The Revolution, 1,200 words. The imperial throne world of Axis Prime hung in space like a bejeweled ornament, its city-covered surface glittering with the wealth of 1,000,000 conquered worlds. For 10,000 years, it had stood as the unassailable heart of galactic tyranny. Today, that was about to change. Captain Sophia Chen sat in her Phantom fighter, leading a vast armada of Earth and Rebel ships as they dropped out of hyperspace. The fleet was a patchwork of vessels from 100 different worlds, united under the banner of freedom. At its center loomed the Lazarus, now evolved into a form that would have been unrecognizable to its original engineers. "All ships, report in," Sophia commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. One by one, the fleet commanders sounded off. Humans, aliens, and even reprogrammed AI ships, all ready to risk everything for a chance at a free galaxy. "This is Admiral Zixkara," the deep voice of their unlikely alien ally rumbled. "The Imperial defense grid is still offline. Our infiltration teams have done their job." Sophia allowed herself a grim smile. Months of planning, countless sacrifices, all leading to this moment. "Understood, Admiral. All ships, advance on pre-planned vectors. May fortune favor the bold." As the rebel fleet moved forward, the Imperial capital finally stirred to life. Massive defense platforms, each the size of a small moon, began to power up. Swarms of fighter craft poured from hidden hangars, filling the space between the advancing rebels and their goal. "Phantom Squadron, you know the drill," Sophia called to her elite team. "Clear a path for our capital ships. Use the new Lazarus Protocol upgrades, but don't get cocky." The Phantom fighters shot forward, their forms shimmering as they engaged their phase-shift technology. They passed through the first wave of Imperial defenders as if they were ghosts, only solidifying to unleash precise, devastating attacks before vanishing again. Aboard the Lazarus, Commander Ava Patel watched the battle unfold with a mixture of pride and concern. The ship's quantum eye fed her constant updates, projecting possible outcomes and suggesting tactical adjustments. "Commander," a young lieutenant called out, "we're detecting a massive energy surge from the planet's surface." Ava's eyes narrowed. "It's the Emperor. He's making his move. Alert Captain Chen." On the bridge of his personal flagship, a vessel that dwarfed even the largest Imperial dreadnoughts, the Emperor stood impassively. His form was obscured by a shimmering field of energy, hinting at power beyond mortal comprehension. "So," he mused, his voice resonating with the weight of millennia, "the upstart humans and their rabble have come to challenge me directly. How? Quaint." With a gesture, he activated his ship's primary weapon, a device capable of unmaking entire star systems. As it powered up, reality itself seemed to warp around the vessel. Back in the heart of the battle, Sophia received Ava's warning just as her sensors screamed alerts. "All ships, break formation." She yelled into the comm. "Evasive maneuvers, now." A lance of pure entropy shot from the Emperor's ship, carving a swath of destruction through space itself. Ships caught in its path simply ceased to exist, erased from reality. By the stars, Admiral Zixkara breathed, witnessing the devastation. "How can we stand against such power?" Sophia gritted her teeth, her mind racing. "We stick to the plan. Phantom Squadron, form up on me. We're going in." As capital ships exchanged planet-shattering barrages and fighters dueled in intricate dances of death, Sophia led her team on a desperate attack run against the Emperor's flagship. They phase-shifted through layers of defenses, each shift pushing their new technology to the limit. "Captain," one of her pilots called out, "our phase shifters are starting to destabilize. We can't take much more of this." "We only need one shot," Sophia replied, her voice tight with concentration. "Stand by to deploy the package." As they approached the Emperor's ship, Sophia felt a presence push against her mind. Ancient, cold, and incomprehensibly vast. The Emperor had sensed their approach. "Foolish child," his voice echoed in her head. "Did you really think your primitive tricks could challenge me?" Sophia's vision blurred, her body feeling as if it was being torn apart at the molecular level. Through sheer force of will, she stayed on course. "Now," she screamed, more in defiance of the Emperor's mental assault than as a command. Her squadron fired as one, launching a salvo of missiles that phased through the flagship's shields as if they weren't there. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, reality rippled. The missiles carried a payload developed by Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a quantum virus designed to infect and rewrite the very laws of physics within a localized area. As it took hold, the Emperor's ship began to twist and distort, its mighty weapons sputtering and dying. "Impossible," the Emperor's voice boomed, now tinged with something alien to his experience. Fear. On planets across the galaxy, the battle was broadcast in real time. Billions watched as the symbol of their oppression began to crumble. On a dusty world at the edge of known space, Resistance leader Kira pumped her fist in the air. "Do you see?" she cried to her fellow rebels. "Even gods can fall." As the Emperor's ship collapsed in on itself, becoming a singularity that quickly evaporated into nothingness, a shockwave of psychic energy washed across the battlefield. Imperial forces, their strings suddenly cut, fell into disarray. Sophia, her mind reeling from the aftereffects of the Emperor's attack, keyed her calm. "This is Captain Chen to all ships. The Emperor has fallen. Push forward and secure the capital. Today we end this tyranny once and for all." A ragged cheer went up across the rebel frequency as the remaining ships surged towards Axis Prime. The planetary defenses, in shock from the loss of their immortal leader, crumbled before the onslaught. Hours later, as the dust settled and the enormity of their victory began to sink in, Sophia found herself standing in the Imperial throne room. The seat of power that had dominated the galaxy for 10 millennia now lay empty before her. Admiral Zixkara approached, his alien features set in an expression Sophia had learned to read as reverence. "Captain," he said, his voice low, "the Allied fleet commanders are asking. What now? Who will take the throne?" Sophia looked at the ornate seat, then back at the diverse group of beings that had followed her into the heart of Empire. Humans stood shoulder to shoulder with a dozen alien species, former enemies now united in common cause. "No one," she said firmly. "We didn't fight to replace one emperor with another. We fought for freedom, for the right of every world, every species, to choose its own path." She turned to face the assembled leaders, her voice carrying the weight of the revolution they had all fought for. "The age of empires is over. Let this be the dawn of a new era, a galactic federation, where all voices are heard and no single power can dominate the rest." As word of the Emperor's fall and the revolution's success spread across the stars, countless worlds erupted in celebration. The long night of imperial rule had finally ended. A new age of exploration, cooperation, and freedom was dawning. On Earth, President Chen addressed a jubilant global audience. "My fellow citizens of Earth and of the galaxy, today marks not an ending, but a beginning. We have proven that unity, innovation, and the indomitable human spirit can overcome any obstacle. Now we look to the stars not with fear, but with hope and wonder. The universe awaits, and we will meet it as equals, as friends, and as guardians of liberty for all sentient beings. As the cheers of trillions echoed across the cosmos, Sophia Chen looked out at the glittering expanse of Axis Prime, soon to be renamed Liberty's Beacon. She couldn't help but smile, thinking of how far they had come from that first desperate battle above Earth. The revolution was won, but she knew their greatest adventures and challenges still lay ahead. A free galaxy was a complex one, full of opportunities and dangers they had yet to imagine. But whatever the future held, Sophia was certain of one thing: humanity and their new allies would face it together. The stars, once the domain of tyranny, now shone with the light of freedom, and that light would never again be extinguished.